Hi, Reggie back here speaking about healing America's narratives, the feminine, the masculine, and our collective national shadow. And for just 2 or 3 minutes now, I'd like to go a little bit more deeply into what we mean by feminine and masculine. In an earlier recording, I spoke about the feminine tending toward, and again, we're not speaking about women here, speaking about feminine energy, tending more towards compassion as opposed to wisdom, tending more towards embrace and relationship as opposed to individualism, tending more towards mercy as opposed to justice. We're not saying that the feminine doesn't or isn't interested in justice or wisdom. We're saying there's a tendency towards mercy and compassion. The masculine, on the other hand, tends more towards individualism as opposed to relationship or community, tends more towards wisdom as opposed to compassion, and tends more towards justice as opposed to mercy. And again, any one of these traits, right, wisdom, compassion, justice, mercy, individualism, relationship, can be healthy. So feminine energy can appear in healthy or unhealthy iterations. Masculine energy can also appear in healthy or unhealthy iterations. And what we'll see throughout the book is that the history of this country, the history of the United States, and specifically its shadow, that part of ourselves that we don't like to admit or that we really don't even know is there, has been characterized by an unhealthy manifestation of primarily masculine energy. So unhealthy iterations or manifestations of wisdom, individualism, and justice at the expense of compassion, relationship, and mercy. And again, we'll unpack that in very, very specific examples in the coming conversations. Just briefly, we'll take a real close look at, in individual chapters, the history of women, the history of Native Americans, the history of African Americans, the history of the Vietnam War, and the history of the post 9/11 wars on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq. We'll address some other issues too, like climate change, which is arguably the most important. The others become moot if all humans cease to exist on the planet. But we will give specific focus to the history of women, Native Americans, African Americans, the Vietnam War, and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it'll become clear why we focus on those five as the conversations move forward, or as you read the book. So looking forward to seeing you the next time. Thanks for listening.